looking at this, I know that you read a lot of articles in a lot of different newspapers and magazines, and it's good to do that and at least bring this out in the discussion. And hopefully, from time to time, we'll have some other volunteers here on Citizens Reporter that maybe come forward and talk about the education issue from their perspective as well. Now, of course, our second half of the program, we're going to be showing some film footage of, as I mentioned earlier, from the Maplewood Citizens Forum, and this is from July 3rd, 2010. Now, of course, the Citizens Forum is taped by the Citizens Reporter, and so we, of course, do show film footage of the forums from time to time. And, of course, there's so much in the way of news and things to talk about that, well, you know, we kind of have to set our priorities and where's the most important information to get out to you. But I think it's really important to show some film footage from this particular forum at this point because of two reasons. One is that recently the Maplewood City Council has been having some discussions where they want to actually eliminate the Citizens Forum on a permanent basis, that they want to replace it with just a quarterly meeting where they have a preset topic and then citizens can come to listen to that preset topic, and that's pretty much it. Now, the Citizens Forum has actually been in existence in Maplewood since the mid-1990s, and previously for almost all of those years it was actually called the Mayor's Forum. It occurred once a month, the first Saturday of the month, and it was an opportunity for citizens to meet one-on-one with the mayor to talk to the mayor about issues that were of interest to them, and that they could then reach out to the mayor, and the mayor would be there to talk to them, and there you go. But you see, the current city council and the current mayor, it appears that they're not interested in any kind of format like that anymore, at least from the discussions that we've heard in the open council meetings. And so one of the things that certainly I think that we as citizens have found in the last year by going to the forum is that we do hear other information that we wouldn't necessarily hear at council meetings at all, and it's a chance to be able to bring up some issues that, you know, really, quite frankly, don't get talked about at council meetings. Now, Mr. Bradley, I know you've been to a number of the forums lately.
Right. And, you know, the other thing is you got to realize that with a forum, you have time to talk to them. But at a council meeting, I found that they, at least at 3 council meetings, have avoided having the public even speak at all. In one case, they had interrupted the public because they had to take a vote on something else, and then because they had switched to quorum, they could not go back and get to listen to the public. So the public's been showing up to these city meetings and finding they have no input to put in on those. So it's very important to have more than one. We should have multiple avenues of access, but let's understand we're down to 1 or 2, and usually they're ignored. And if you have it on a public access level where you can see it, it's very important to understand how it makes it. They have to answer the question.
And the citizens' forums, of course, once a month have been 2 hours in length. And, of course, if a citizen goes there and they want to talk about something or talk for whatever time period, there isn't a time limit, like a little timer going off saying you can only say your piece for 3 minutes or 1 minute or until I get tired of you. You know, at the council meeting, if it's a visitor presentations, which is at the end of the meeting, you only get 5 minutes to say whatever's on your mind. It might take longer than that. Some folks, you know, might have big issues that have happened in their neighborhood, might have to do with graffiti, that might have to do with gang activity, that might have to do with public toilets in their mobile home park that aren't working. Those kinds of issues, you can't just talk about them in only 5 minutes. And certainly at the council meetings, when it's an agenda item, it seems like they limited the conversation to even less than 5 minutes if they recognize you at all. And so, like you say, if you don't have the Citizens Forum once a month, or you can go to during the 2-hour period and talk to the mayor, well then, you know,
Well,
where are you going to talk?
the reality is it isn't 2 hours, to be honest, because it's usually about 2 hours the whole meeting is.
Ah, yes.
And you've got the mayor who wants to present his little information, and then you've got, of course, Antonin who wants to throw in his information. So we are looking at, most of the time, we're spending less than an hour. And to be honest, this is one of the reasons I've been showing up to all the council meetings, is because I feel outraged that they moved the presentation to the end of the meeting.
Oh, the visitor presentations,
Right.
yeah.
Because in truth, it should be at the beginning of the meeting, because we don't take more than an hour. Even when you've got a blowhard, we don't take more than an hour if you do the timing. It's usually the mayor has to open his mouth, and then one of his councilmen has to then have a nice discussion between the two of them about party favors or something else that they want to do, other than letting the public finish up. If you time the public has brought their information to the council.
Probably comes
it's
at
less-
20 minutes or less.
Exactly.
20 minutes or less, that's exactly right.
Except for when they're berating that one blowhard.
So now the one thing, though, of course, that I've noticed this past year, too, in the year 2010 here for these citizens forums on Saturday, is that typically in the past, always, it was traditional. It was the mayor who was there to be the host of it with the citizens and to talk to the citizens. But this year, the new mayor, Rosbach, he actually, I think he didn't want to really do this particular part of the duties, and so he's actually been pawning it off and delegating it off to all the other council members.
I think
and
it's below him as far as he's concerned.
and really, I think he's only shown up to, now this is November, I think he's only been to 2 of them out of the whole year. Maybe I counted wrong, but and maybe 3. But, you know, I mean, what gives there? I mean, the mayor's hiding from the citizens.
Well, he doesn't, like we can see, he's been trying to change the name more and more.
Yeah.
He would more like to have this as just another information meeting that he can put out there. But let's understand, the mayor has the access to cable TV, and they'll let him record an obnoxiously boring statement anytime he wishes to be obnoxiously boring. Mr. Mayor, you can be obnoxiously boring on cable TV and everybody will turn you off like they always do. But the problem is that if you've got an issue that you want answered, you want it answered by the city, by the mayor, and since we do, this is a Class B city, it's really supposed to be, and this is one of my issues with the mayor, he should be keeping his mouth shut unless he has personal knowledge of what's going on and can answer it as a lawyer or as somebody specifically in that area. We have the citizens there. We have the city workers that show up.
Yeah, the city manager.
And with the city manager and the lawyers, we should be getting answers from them and not from Rosbach, and we should not be getting the blowhardy, lengthy statements he's making to tell everybody to shut up and he controls the city.
You know, and that's a very interesting point, is that I have kind of noticed that also. It seems like he's trying to protect the top administrators and the 2 city managers that we have, to protect them from answering when citizens come forward at council meetings or at in other forums, that, you know, citizens want to know what the answers are, and it's sort of like they're trying to shield the top administrators and the 2 city managers from actually giving what the answers are, and to give those answers on the record. And because your point is well taken, is that with it being a Plan B city, the ones who really run the city are the 2 city managers and the top administrators, because that's the way it's organized. And under state statute, that is exactly what that's the chain of command.
And we're supposed to get the answer from them,
Yeah.
not from the mayor, because
Right.
If we have an issue, is it going to matter what the mayor says, or is it going to matter what the lawyers have to tell us if we are required? Oh, but I got from the mayor, so I did this because the mayor told me. Well, the mayor was misinformed.
Well, and the thing is that the mayor cannot be giving any instructions to the staff people on his own at all. It either has to come as a vote of the council or not at all, because that's the way a Plan B city operates. And with a Plan B city such as Maplewood has, really what happens is that the city council is in charge of creating public policy, that they say, okay, this is going to be the policy of the city, and then they make a resolution. They're in charge of approving the budget, so they control the purse strings. And so no matter if whether or not they want to tell you that really their hands are tied and that the budget, the department heads are telling them what the budget has to be, quite frankly, the city council and the mayor have control over the purse strings, and they're the ones that should be going through it line by line and actually doing the cuts. And then the other thing that they have authority over is the creation or modification of the ordinances, of creating the law. And then the other thing that they have authority over is indeed authority over the city manager, in that they do the job review of the city manager. Now, they of course set the public policy, and their job review of the city manager is how well did he implement their public policy. But most of the time you notice that they as a council body, they do not enact any public policy. They actually wait for the staff to come to them and tell them what public policy is being suggested by the city staff, and then they basically all get out their rubber stamp and say, okay, that sounds like a good policy, let's do it, cluck chunk, and there you go.
And they don't really want your input. They want you to say, yes, sir, and walk away, because let's understand, right now, we have an issue that we have brought on this show before about the 4th of July, where the fireworks and all that. And this is an issue that I think that I'll ask you right now on television. Do you feel that we should be spending money for a goofy, and I'm going to call it goofy, a goofy little taste event that represented only about 35% of the people that were in it were from Maplewood, and the other 65% were out of the area of Maplewood. Mm-hmm. So we're sponsoring businesses throughout Minnesota, out of the state even, over our own businesses here, rather than doing a fireworks display that everybody came to Maplewood. They had to come here to see it. If you didn't come here, you couldn't see it. The reality is that by having our fireworks here, we spent a very limited amount of money and got a very high identity.
That's right, high visibility with regard to our residents, knowing that we had a 4th of July celebration and we had fireworks. Obviously, it was a low-cost event for families because there wasn't any entry fees, and they could just come with their blanket to Hazelwood Park, put it down, and bring a picnic if they wanted, or they could buy a hot dog from the hot dog stand or whatever. And of course, we had music there and all these things. It was a nice family event that was low cost, and especially in these economic times, certainly something that a lot of people really appreciated. Yet this year in 2010, the City Council decided to cross it off the books. And I will give Mr. Antonin credit in that early on in the year, he did, again, approach the council and ask them, would they reconsider their decision not to have the 4th of July and not to have fireworks. He did indeed ask them to reconsider that decision, and even had the proposal that the fireworks, they would give them a good deal and some other kinds of things, but the council said, no, that's okay. We're going to go along and march to our own drummer, and we're going to have the Taste of Maplewood in August, and we're going to spend our money on that instead. And that, of course, is what some of the film footage is that from the citizens forum that we have that we're going to show. I'm going to get offset here and turn on the film footage there. But in the meanwhile here, why don't you, Mark, also a reminder of viewers of the carnival rides and how the carnival people were competing with the food vendors who were at the Taste of Maplewood in August.
It's ironic because as that I was taking pictures of who was there and trying to find out who is at this event, I was asking the very important questions that should be asked. If you're not part